Paddy, Ireland's Hidden Heartlands, it's the newest brand within Irish tourism. It's what, 3, 4, 5 years old at this stage. How's it going?
It's going well. We've had a surprising bounce over COVID, which was really surprising, to be honest. So it was launched in April 2018, and then less than 2 years later, the pandemic hit, March 2020, and we were expecting really bad things. You know, we were expecting the bottom to fall out of everything because we were still a fledgling brand. And but we were surprised at the level of interest that Irish people had. Okay, you know, everybody had a captive domestic audience. We were all forced to holiday at home for a couple of years. But really, we found that what the Hidden Heartlands had to offer was what visitors were looking for during that time. They were looking for an uncongested place, lots of outdoor activities, and they really liked what they found in Hidden Heartlands.
Which is great. And I know. Yeah. As you say, it's early days yet within a brand and within a region, but already you've increased your footprint. I think, you know, the original Ireland's Hidden Heartlands had parameters of only so wide, and now you've grown a bit more.
Yeah, we have. Just in the last few weeks, we've announced that we're taking in all of Cavan, all of Westmeath, and all of Offaly. Previously, we only had parts of those counties because when the brand was launched at the start, as you know, Ireland's Ancient East was there previously, going right up to the Shannon on the east side, and we were hedging our bets a little bit. We didn't know how the Heartlands would take off and whether it would be a success, whether it would get the necessary funding, etc. So we kind of left the Ancient East where it was and just had a little overlap area east of the Shannon. But after 2 years now, I mean, there's a brand review ongoing for Ireland's Ancient East to try and strengthen it. And, you know, we felt that given the success of Hidden Heartlands over the last couple of years, we can kind of expand into what would be a traditional Midlands area, you know. So let you know, Ireland's Ancient East be more about the East, which is more intuitive for it as well. And then let the Hidden Heartlands kind of breathe out a little bit and take over all of Westmeath, Offaly, Cavan, a little bit more Tipperary as well. So we're delighted with that. And the industry, we had a meeting with all the industry last week, and a lot of the new sort of inductees attended as well. And they're really positive and excited about what the Hidden Heartlands can do for them. They got great service and you know, did well under the Ireland's Ancient East brand. But now there's an opportunity for them to, you know, look at things a little bit differently as well. But the level of service that they'll get will be the exact same. You know, there'll be high level of support for them. They'll just be trading under a new brand, and we're delighted with that. And it seems to be, I mean, it's resonating well with domestic visitors and with international visitors as well. So hopefully.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that because you got a strong domestic bounce, as you say, during the pandemic. Yeah. The international markets during the pandemic obviously wasn't able to access Ireland's Hidden Heartlands. So now that we're coming out of the pandemic, is there the hope that, if you like, you open the eyes of the international tourists to what the Hidden Heartlands has to offer?
Absolutely, and we've Mehel coming up later this week, and what we've seen year on year so far is an increase in the number of businesses from the Hidden Heartlands geography attending Mehel. So in 2018, the first year that we started, Mehel at that time had only 7 businesses from the Hidden Heartlands geography attending, and we're up to around about 50 now. So we've worked with the industry very, very closely to get them international ready, to get them, you know, able to promote their saleable experiences to international buyers. And there seems to be increasing interest from international buyers all the time, from the tour operators, from the FITs. At the moment, I mean, we probably have maybe 6-7% share of the international market, about 6-7% share of the domestic market as well. So we've and actually the visiting friends and relatives share of the international market is very strong in this region as well. So it's a slightly different approach to them, but we're looking to increase that share of holidaymakers all the time internationally. But as you know, well own, you know, there's any destination really is kind of seeded on the domestic market. We've got to build a strong domestic base first, and get that, you know, recognition, get people talking about it domestically as well, and then the international will follow.
Exactly. No, you're right. Getting local industry buy-in and getting the domestic market behind you then will lead to increased international visitors.
Yeah.
Talk to us a moment, Paddy, if you will, about sustainable tourism, because there's a lot of, obviously, talk about it, within the industry, within the tourism sector, within Fáilte Ireland. We in ITIC are doing a kind of an industry sustainability report to be published at the end of April. And in many ways, Ireland's Hidden Heartlands is nearly like a poster child for sustainable tourism and for ecotourism. Is that something you're playing on?
It absolutely is, and in our new forthcoming strategy, the regional tourism strategy, we're beginning to use the term regenerative tourism. I mean, these are all buzzwords, really. I mean, they all mean the same thing, sustainable, green, responsible. But regenerative strikes a particular chord at the moment, because you've got the likes of the Just Transition Fund operating within the region for Portumna. And the opportunity that presents for tourism, I think, is a really important one. Obviously, you've got a lot of jobs lost in Portumna, because of the transition around the carbon economy from what they call brown to green. A lot less industrial turf cutting going on, but there are opportunities there for tourism around, new tracks and trails across this landscape, and just the rewilding and renaturing of this landscape as well. Giving it back. Once you take the turf cutting machines off it, and once you begin to block up the dams and re-wet that area, you get the transformed landscape. And there's a really good opportunity there for tourism and for bringing people into that area, looking for an escape from everyday lives, and I think we've a really strong opportunity there. Also, the reason we use regenerative tourism is that we see tourism as a means to an end. It's its purpose is to contribute to flourishing communities and thriving nature. So that it's we see nature and tourism really. Nature and communities at the heart of what we do, and the purpose of tourism is to help regenerate both of those. And that's really the basis of it. And we also, as well as the kind of environmental side of sustainability, we're also looking at the community side. And in the Hidden Heartlands, we're particularly well placed in this because we have a relatively low visitation levels. We probably 6-7% share internationally and domestically. We have a high dependence on community-based tourism enterprises. We have relatively few privately owned visitor attractions. Those that are there are, tend to do. We only maybe 4 or 5 attractions that get over 100,000 visitors a year. So we're more reliant on community-based tourism enterprises and tourism attractions, and that brings with it, an automatic authenticity for the visitor, because they're meeting local people, meeting volunteers, and there's a direct benefit from tourism back into communities as well, because those profits, the money generated from those, are put back into the attraction, put back into the community, and there's a strong sense of the value of tourism within local communities as well. So I think that aspect is really strong.
It's regenerative by nature and by name, even that
exactly
you've given us.
Exactly.
The Shannon Masterplan was launched recently enough, and I know obviously the Shannon is the backbone, or the, if you like, the central aspect, if you like, of all things Hidden Heartlands. How does Fáilte Ireland and, if you like, the tourism community engage with the Shannon and with the Shannon Masterplan? Because a lot of people don't know, but it's the biggest navigatable waterway, I think, across the UK and Ireland. It's an absolutely vast amenity that we have to call our own.
It is, a couple of years ago, 3 years ago now, we started the preparation of the master plan. It was led by Waterways Ireland. It involved ourselves in Tourism Ireland, and also the 10 local authorities were really important. It was a lot of consultation done locally as well, right along the Shannon. So it's the spine that runs down through the middle of the Hidden Heartlands. If you look at a sort of a distribution map of businesses, most tourism businesses in the region are probably centred, down along the Shannon and on either side of it. There's a strong corridor of tourism there, and a lot of our main hubs in tourism are located along it as well. Like Cavan, which is close to the Shannon Earn waterway, which is very important as well. Carrick and Shannon. at Lough, Lough Derg, really important hubs. And the idea of the Shannon Masterplan was to try and, for the first time, introduce a single unitary plan for the entire Shannon from a tourism perspective. We'd had plans over the last 20, 30 years that dealt with, maybe Lough Ree or Lough Derg or the Upper Shannon, but not one that dealt with the entire system, including the Shannon Erin waterway as well, which obviously links into the Erin system in the north as well. And that cross-border aspect to it as well is very important. So this was a kind of a unitary plan, and it was a master plan, so it doesn't go into huge detail, but the idea is that there'll be a number of more detailed destination plans sitting in underneath it as well. So we have one of those in place already, which was launched last year, for Lough Derg, and there'll be one for the sort of mid-Shannon and Midlands area, and then one for the Upper Shannon and the Shannon Erin coming over the next couple of years. And the idea really is that it identifies the priorities around about everything from infrastructure development, network development as well, which is a really important element of what we do, networking those businesses to cross promote and promote the destination as well as their own business. So there's a whole range of activities, and also giving others a kind of a strategic steer as well. So a lot of local authorities will be looking to apply for ORIS funding for outdoor recreation infrastructure and that, and trying to align all of that spending and effort around a single vision, and our forthcoming regional tourism strategy as well takes that wider for the entire region. So while the Shannon Masterplan focuses on the Shannon corridor, the Hidden Heartlands regional tourism strategy will focus on the entire region and provide that strategic focus and vision for what we want to achieve over the next 5 to 10 years. So it's a really exciting plan in terms of the Shannon, and already we've begun to invest in it. Fáilte Ireland has invested nearly 2.1 million now in Waterways Ireland in a number of key infrastructural developments. The biggest of which will be the restoration of Connaught Harbour in Portumna. That'll provide additional berthage there because Castle Harbour is fairly busy during the summer already, and the cruising sector is one that we've really seen a bounce in over the last couple of years. As you know yourself, traditionally maybe 20-25% of those that rent cruisers on the Shannon every year would be domestic, and 75-80% would be overseas, mainly from German-speaking countries, Germany, Austria, Switzerland, etc. But what we found last year is that 100%, I mean, there were the companies there, 3 or 4 companies were totally booked out last year with domestic visitors. So we did an interview with those domestic visitors that took a cruising holiday at the end of 2020, and found that 51% of them were first timers, that they'd never done it before, hadn't even considered it before, and a lot of them weren't usually around during the summertime. They were elsewhere,
And was their view of that cruising holiday positive? Is there a chance that they've discovered an Irish tourism product, a unique Irish tourism product that they'll come back to?
I think so. The evidence that the survey found that over 95% of them said that they would go back and do it again within 2 to 3 years. So that was really, really positive. No, they seem to. It was just something that I think previously they'd just seen it as something for the tourists. Rather than seeing it as something that made for a really good holiday, particularly a family holiday. What we found with the domestic visitors as well is that they tended to spend more time off the boat than on the boat. Anecdotally, from a lot of the tour companies and a lot of the businesses along the Shannon, when the overseas visitors are on the boat, they tend to cater for themselves on the boat a lot more. They tend to indulge a lot more in the experience of being on the boat, whereas the Irish visitors using the boat tended to, use it to travel from A to B, then moor up, and then use restaurants, bars, facilities on shore. So there seems to be potentially a bigger economic spin-off from the domestic visitors in cruising for businesses along the Shannon, which is really good news,
really positive.
So that was an interesting difference, and one that if we can convert those Irish visitors from first timers, those cruisers from first timers to repeat visits, then we can look at growing the entire pie. And hopefully presenting opportunities for the cruising companies to expand as well.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, listen, Paddy, I know it's still only in its infancy, but it's been a great start for Hidden Heartlands, and fingers crossed you keep going from strength to strength. So keep up the good work.
Thanks a million, Owen, and thanks for all your support as well. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Paddy.